Hey YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back. This is our first video of the breakdown of each map in Escape from Tarkov. First map up on the board is Customs. Customs is a phenomenal map and is very popular from the beginning of the wipe to the end of the wipe. This is going to be a 40-minute raid with roughly 9 to 12 players in it. This is a solid map and it has a lot to offer, such as a boss with his own guards, 20 plus cache locations. The goons spawn on this map, which are Bird Eye, Big Pipe, and the Knight. It has a lot of high value loot such as Intel, Rolexes, Bitcoins, GP coins, gold chains, all of the high value stuff, as well as a ton of PvP. From the beginning of the wipe to the very end of the wipe, you will never see this map clear of PvP fights. Before we get into the breakdown of the actual map itself, I do want to go ahead and just tell you that this map is probably an 8 out of 10. Now, this is just my personal rating. You can obviously have your own opinion, but overall, this is probably an 8 out of 10. I will tell you exactly why at the end of this video, so stick around. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this and start breaking this map down. Now, I'm actually using Map Genie, which is for Escape from Tarkov, and it goes over everything that you need. You can kind of filter it to whatever you want to actually see between ammo boxes, caches, jackets, locations, all that stuff. It tells you everything that you need, and this just has everything that I need to show you guys and easily be able to like zoom in and explain exactly what's going on, where this is at, where you should be going, that sort of stuff. I will provide the link in the description below. If you guys want to use this in the future, you absolutely can. This is free to use, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So first things first, this is Customs. It's a very simple, easily laid out map. I'm going to go over a couple things right at the beginning. First off, we're going to talk about PMC spawn points, Scav spawn points, the specific lanes, and the boss / cultist / goon spawns that are actually on the map. So first things first, we're going to start from left to right. So we're going to go all the way down here. So on the left side of the map is cut off by the water here. So before you actually get to the train tracks, this is a possibility. You can spawn over here at Trailer Park. This is a PMC spawn. You can also spawn at Crossroads. That's another PMC spawn. You can spawn inside of Storage Town, all the way over here on the wall. You can spawn inside the wall of Big Red. You can actually spawn inside Big Red itself. You can spawn right outside the wall and over here by Railroad to Tarkov. You can also spawn in Trailer Park, but that's kind of rare. It doesn't really happen that often. The main three that you're actually probably going to spawn those locations almost every single time is going to be Trailer Park, right here on the wall, like you're heading towards the junk bridge, like if you were trying to go towards dorms, like into the map itself. Those are the two locations. If you spawn over here at Trailer Park or this one right next to the actual train tracks, you're most likely, that group of PMC is most likely gunning for Crack House. They're just going to try to get over there as quick as possible because that's a high value loot area. It has intel spawns and all that stuff. We'll cover that eventually. Realistically, if you spawn back here in the bottom left and you're making your way through storage and you're eventually trying to get to Big Red, just know that a PMC group or a person, an individual, is most likely here and making their way in as well, or they're leaving to head across the bridge and make their way towards dorms or construction or Crack House. Across the water, there is a PMC spawn right here at Smuggler's Boat. That is one of the closest, actually that one and this one right through the wall past 2-story, this little campsite right here, are the closest spawns to dorms. Usually if people spawn there, they are darting right for dorms. Another spawn location is at Ruaf Roadblock. You can spawn right here. You could spawn right in front of Crack House, right around Repair Shop. These are very popular areas. We'll go ahead and start making our way up towards the top here. So past dorms and right above Power Station, there's a PMC spawn right here at this power tower. And then as you go across the railroad tracks, there's another PMC spawn right next to the Scav extract, Passage Between Rocks. And as you make your way down to Military Base CP, there's another PMC spawn. And you can also, this is actually to the right of Sniper Ridge. This is New Gas, so we're past the middle of the map, or on the right side of these trade tracks. New Gas, and as you're making your way to Checkpoint, you can spawn right here behind the wall. You can spawn behind these rocks, and as you cross this main wall, so there is a wall essentially right here. So right above the tankers, all the way down. There's a couple cut throughs here and there, but that is a main wall. And as you get over to New Gas, there's an entire wall right here. Like, you cannot get over that. Well, you can get over that. You can jump over if you're on this side. You can jump over the car to get on that side, or you can go through the shortcut right here if you have the factory key. But the wall will stretch all the way down here, and like you can see, there's a few cut throughs here and there. But there's a PMC spawn inside of the repair shop, which a lot of people refer to it as Blue or USEC building. You can spawn at Sleepy Scav, which is in Warehouse 7. You can spawn inside of these like massive stacks. I don't know exactly what to call them because there really isn't a name for them. But there's a PMC spawn there. And you can also spawn in Warehouse 4 to Depot. There's a couple different spawns around here. There's one or two. Yeah, there's two. There's one on the backside and one inside of Warehouse 3. You can spawn right next to ZB12. And you could spawn around Depot. I've actually spawned inside of Depot before, but that doesn't happen very often. And I think the last one, the last one is at Old Gas. Those are all of the spawns in Customs. So in total, you've got about 29 PMC spawns. Now let's go over the Scav spawns. These are just AI Scav. We're not talking about you're scavving in as a player and you just randomly scav. Like we're not going over those. These like red icons are where scavs are going to spawn. So from left to right, if you spawn on this Crossroads to Trailer Park side, again, this is going to depend on the time that you are actually in the raid. So for the most part, when you spawn in, you're not going to come across that many scavs from the first like 10 to 15 minutes. You might run into one or two, but these particular numbers are usually revolving around like halfway through the raid to the end of the raid. So in Storage Town, there's a possibility that you will see 1 to 3 scavs just kind of roaming around inside, roaming around outside. And they kind of go from Storage Town to Big Red. Big Red also has 1 to 2. I've definitely seen 3 or 4 roaming around in here. I think they just kind of grouped up from Storage Town, and you just kind of see them making their way around. You won't see any on the bridges, but you will see quite a few over here at Rough Roadblock. You can have somewhere between 2 to 4, and this can get pretty crazy, especially during the end of the raid. If you are within like the last 10 to 15 minutes, be careful of Rough Roadblock. This place is a death trap. There are probably people hanging around here, and there are probably a ton of scavs hanging around here. So be cautious when you're moving through there. Just north towards Sniper Roadblock, this is around the intersection with like this little ice cream shop, whatever. It's got some food, some water and stuff in there. And it's got a couple scavs. No more than 2 would really be roaming around here. If you see more than that, they probably roamed from Old Construction. Old Construction is a very hot spot, and we'll talk about those in just a little bit, that you will see somewhere between 1 to like 7 scavs. It kind of just depends on the particular raid, but you can get swarmed over here from scavs because they can rotate from Skeleton all the way over to Construction. They don't technically say that scavs spawn around Skeleton, but they do. There are scavs that are spawning all throughout here. We'll stay on this bottom side before we go up to dorms. If you are making your way from Trailer Park and you go through here, I mean, any side, if you're making your way over here towards Crack House and Repair Shop, and you are on a night raid, you can run into Cultists. Cultists only sit in this area from Warehouse 17 to the backside of Fortress, somewhere in this. So from Warehouse 17, backside of Fortress to before you get to Skeleton. They don't really hang out anywhere else. This is the area. So be very cautious. Check your corners. If you hear breathing, fire away. They're probably watching you and they're creeping up on you. While we're at it, I also want to go ahead and throw in the boss spawn locations. Reshala, they say that Reshala can spawn around Crack House to Repair Shop. That's very rare. I don't think I've ever actually seen that before. But apparently it's possible. The Rogue Squad, which are the goons, which is Big Pipe, Bird Eye, and Knight, they can spawn around this area, somewhere from Crack House to the other side of Fortress. They could be roaming around this area, so be very cautious, very careful when you're approaching this area. This is a very heavy PvP, PvE area. It's very dangerous, very difficult at times. Reshala and his guards, as well as a couple other just random scavs, can spawn around fortress and inside of fortress. So it's a very difficult area to move through, very dangerous area, so be very careful. Up north, we have quite a few, somewhere, I would say 1 to like 5 or 6 scavs can be in this, along this road and around bus terminal. That's just, they just roam around and they kind of go from here to dorms. Dorms can spawn in 3-story and 2-story. They can spawn inside, they can spawn outside. You can see anywhere between 1 to 5 in each building, and they can roam. Other scavs can roam into those buildings, as well as Reshala. Reshala can spawn in 3-story, and Reshala can spawn in 2-story, so be very careful. Moving over, we have Old Gas Station. Not a whole lot of scavs spawn here, usually about 1 to 4, but you know, earlier in the raid, you'll probably see 1, 2, maybe. Towards the end of the raid, you might see 2 to 4, something like that. A couple different scavs can spawn around here between Warehouse 14 and Depot, so just be very cautious. And there's also a sniper scav. I don't have the little marker on top of it, but on top of Depot, there's a sniper scav, so just be very cautious of him. New Gas also has usually 1 to 5 scavs, roughly, as well as Reshala and his guards can spawn here, so be very careful. And I do want to let you know that between New Gas and Military Checkpoint, which can spawn 1 to 5 scavs, those scavs can rotate and make their way up towards power stations. So like through the ridge, through these walls, they'll move around, so be very careful. And while you're looking out for PMCs, you know, be cautious of these scavs that can make their way around. And then our last little area is around USEC, which is the repair shop, Warehouse 17, and ZB11. Scav, just random scavs kind of roam through here. They're usually not very difficult, but that's all of those. Now, I want to go ahead and go over the 3 lanes that I was talking about. So we have roughly 3 lanes that pretty much everybody has to take. The first lane is wherever you spawn. If you take main bridge to junk bridge and you stick to the top side of the map, you pretty much follow the wall the entire way. So you can definitely take this route where you follow the wall and go all the way from, you know, one side to the other. And it doesn't matter which side that you spawn, you're pretty much taking the same route. The second one is taking the main bridge to the main road all the way down, either left to right or right to left. It doesn't matter. There's tons of wooded area right through here, so you don't have to walk along the wall or, you know, the road itself, but, you know, you can be in these wooded area. You can move through old construction, you know, on the, you know, left and right side of the road here, and just make your way through, go to Old Gas. You know, you're kind of moving through the middle of the map. You're in the most dangerous area probably, and then you make your way to your extract. Our third one is doing the complete opposite of the top one, is making your way from the very bottom and just keeping the wall, essentially the wall, on your back and looking inward towards the map. You're going across the land bridge, you're going past rough roadblock, through crack or around crack, through fortress or around fortress, through Old Gas Station, down the tracks, jumping over, or just taking the wall and making your way to ZB11. Those are the 3 main routes. That's essentially what you got going on, is those 3 main routes, and it happens every single raid. Next up, I want to talk about extracts. So depending on which side that you actually spawn in on, you have a certain number of extracts. I don't know the exact amount, but I will go over the ones that everybody have. So everybody has Dorms VX. If the car is here, it doesn't matter which side you spawn on. You could spawn on Trailer Park or at Smuggler's Boat. You can spawn right here or all the way down by Factory Far Corner. Everybody has Dorms VX. And it depends on your actual, I believe it depends on your scav karma. Depending on how much, you know, how high or how low it is how much you actually have to pay. I think I pay roughly $3 to $4 grand every single time. So if the car is here and you've got a ton of loot and you don't want to keep going all the way to Crossroads, or you don't want to go all the way down to ZB11, you know, you could take the car extract out. You absolutely can. Anybody can do that. The other one is inside of Fortress. If you turn on power inside of Warehouse 4 and you go around the wall here and you make your way in, on the very basement floor, you can kind of see right here. This is all not flat area, but this is all for the most part level. And then it kind of dips down inside of the building. and it's actually tucked away right here. And there's also a staircase on this. This is the main floor side. If you go through here, there's a staircase that leads down, and ZB13 is in there. Anybody can take that. The power just needs to be on. So everybody, no matter where you spawn, have those two extracts. Now, if you're spawning on the right side of the map around ZB11, you will not have these extracts. You will have to pass the train tracks and either take Dorms VX, ZB13, Ref Roadblock, Smuggler's Boat, which is right here at the water. You pass the water and you can make your way down to Crossroads or Trailer Park. Those are going to be your extracts if you spawn on the right side of dorms. If you spawn on the left side of dorms and you're over here, your only options are Dorms VX, ZB13, and there's nothing up top here. You have Old Station, which is Old Gas, if the green smoke is there, ZB12, and ZB11. So those are your only extracts in customs. Next up, I want to talk about caches. So in total, there are 23 cache spots on this map, and we're going to start from the left side and make our way to the right. So there's nothing over here by Big Red. You can't find anything, but there's a ground cache and a barrel cache that are just to they're in between the water and the main road at Ref Roadblock to Sniper Roadblock. So you've got two of those right there. There's also a barrel cache right outside of the repair shop right here in the elbow from Crack House to Old Construction. And then behind Fortress, there is a ground cache and a barrel cache. I believe there's actually a sleepy scav on the tracks and a sleepy scav that is up against this wall too. So you technically have like 4 different like loot spots right in here, but be very careful because if you go too far, there's a sniper scav that will kill you and you're done for. There's pretty much nothing you can do to stop him. Our next one is just south of the skeleton and right to the top right of Fortress. You actually have to crawl underneath the train tracks here. And there's a barrel cache just tucked away right next to a pillar, but you can crawl under there, and for the most part, you're pretty much safe. As we're approaching dorms, there is a couple right around the bus terminal. So there's a barrel cache and some tires that are just to the bottom right corner of the bus terminal. There's a cut through right here. You can pretty much just cross, and you can jump on the other side of this pipe, and you can loot that. Another one is in this, there's a Connex, I think it's actually a blue Connex with a barrel cache inside of that, as well as a ground cache to the top right of the bus terminal. So those are the only ones right around dorms. And then as you're approaching New Gas, you have right around this train tracks, there's a walled in area with a bunch of like cut throughs. There's a barrel cache right at the base of a light pole. And then as you approach the north, like you're following the train tracks at the top of the hill, there's a power tower with a barrel cache. It's actually through the fence. You kind of get up there. It's definitely not going to be in the where you can actually like walk around. You have to look through the fence and you can search it. It's kind of a weird spot, but you know, it is what it is. And then as you're approaching New Gas, there's another one. If you follow this fence right here in the corner, there's a jump through right here. It's actually just like an angled fence that you can jump over. There's a cache spot right here. And if you're on this side of the pipe, but you're on the back side of New Gas, there is a cache spot in a bush right here. There's a ground cache right there. And then let's actually just stay on this side for right now. If you're going through the rocks, the sniper ridge, there's a cache spot on the back side of this blue fence. It's a barrel cache inside of a bush, as well as a ground cache just to the right of the passage between rocks. This is a scav extract. That's why it's in yellow. I didn't really mention that earlier, but yellow is scav extracts and green are PMC extracts, just so you know. Sorry. If you're making your way from the power station all the way down to military base CP for this cache, there is one in between. It's actually in between 2 different trees. It's a ground cache. So it's kind of hard to find, but if you watch my live streams, you should be able to pinpoint it. And then as you make your way down the road, there's a dumpster cache there's a dumpster with a barrel cache just to the right of it. It's kind of tucked away, but it's really easy to find. Yeah, as you're making your way to ZB11, there's a ground cache just past military checkpoint in a bush. You can make your way through the hole, and there's a ground cache right here at admin gate. It's right next to a tree, and then there's a cache spot right here, just to the bottom right of ZB11. And then there's also one right next to this pipe. There's a pole right here. So this is the building, and then there's a pole in the pipe. It's kind of tucked away in there, but really easy to get, especially if you spawn right here. And then, yeah, the only other cache is that we missed. Oh, the only other two are actually this one, which is there's a big hole right here, just to the right of Warehouse 3, and you can easily find this barrel cache. And then over here at Old Gas, there's a barrel cache right in the corner. So I believe that's all of them. In total, like I said, there are 23. So even if you were just kind of coming in here with a low value kit and you're just trying to look for some loot and some high value stuff, hit up these cache spots, man. These things can make you a ton of money. You can find all sorts of stuff in here. Great gear, cool weapons, you know, solid barter items, you name it. It's great. The last two things that we're going to talk about are hotspots and valuable locations slash locked doors slash safes and jackets and stuff like that. So starting from the left side, if you're over here at Storage Town, there's a Tetris spawn inside of Unit 81. There's a brown jacket inside of Unit 108. And there's a blue jacket inside of Unit 44. If you make your way over towards Big Red and you go upstairs and you have the director's office key, you can have a flash drive spawn as well as 3 PC blocks. So you can have all the PC parts as well as graphics cards. There is a jacket for you to loot as well as a safe up in here. On the right side, if you're coming out of Big Red, on the right towards the train tracks, there is a little blue building with 2 brown jackets in here, as well as a duffel bag, I think 2 filing cabinets, and maybe a weapon box in here as well. So some pretty decent loot. And as you cross the river over past Rough Roadblock, you have Crack House. Now, Crack House is a very dangerous area. This is a hot spot. I would say Big Red and Storage Town, I wouldn't really say are hotspots. You can definitely get into fights there. Crack House to Fortress to Skeleton to Old Construction. This entire fenced-in area over here, hotspot. PvP, PvE, bosses, cultists, the goons, everything. This is a very dangerous area, very hotspot, because people want the loot that are here and the potential scav boss loot or the goons that they want to loot here, PvP, you know, they want other people's gear, all that stuff. So there are 2 floors for Crack House. On the first floor, it's got a blue jacket, or as you come in the front door, I should say, it's got a blue jacket in the room right across the hall. But as you just come in the door, you've got 2 blue jackets to the right as well as a duffel bag. If you come out of that room, there's actually some med spawns over right here towards the back side of the building if you want to go out. There's a gold spawn. I won't say gold chain because it can spawn Rolex, Bitcoin, GP coin, anything gold can spawn in like a little box right here, as well as a duffel bag is just on the table over here. If you come out like you're going towards the staircase, there's a room that you can't get into, but it's a door that's slightly open with a dead body in it, and anything can spawn in him as well as right outside of him. Bitcoin, gold chain, GP coin, all that stuff. And then as you go upstairs, I don't actually have it like shown, but as you come up the stairs, this is a closed room, but it's not locked. This is intel room. These are shelves. This is a shelf right here. Right here, right here, and right here. On either side of each of these shelves are intel spawns, and you can get up to 3 or 4 intel folders just from one run. It's kind of crazy. They've kind of nerfed it, but it is very possible that you can get that. This entire long room is a med room. It can spawn any meds. It's usually morphines, Salewas, car kits, stuff like that. And then this room is the same, Salewa, Calic Bees, bandages, that sort of stuff. So Crack House has got a lot of loot, and this is a hot area, very hot area. So let's go ahead and move up. Dorms, we have a couple different spots for dorms. Very hot area, inside and outside. People like to stick around the outside and camp people, and then a lot of people like to go inside and get that PvP action. So we're going to start with 3-story, and we're going to do first floor. So first floor really isn't that great. It's got a couple jackets here and there, 101, 104, 105, lots of jackets, it can spawn keys and stuff like that. These 108's really not that good. 118's really not that good unless you just want it. So let's go ahead and move up to floor 2. Floor 2, phenomenal. 204 is a safe key, as well as 202 just next to it has 2 jackets inside. Very, very popular. Lots of fighting going on right in this area. There's a jump over right here, so it's kind of clustered right there. And in 205, there's a jacket there. And as you make your way down the hall, now keep in mind, Rashala and his guards can be here, as well as any PMC on the map. Lots of people like to make their way here. Remember, this is a hot spot, and audio is very So 214, very solid room. It's got a safe inside of it. Highly recommend that key. I suggest hitting 221 every time that you come through here, just to check those jackets for any sort of like really solid key. 220 has a jacket inside of it, but you really don't need it. 220 is a key that you eventually need for a quest, so just kind of keep that in mind. If you come across dorm room 220, you can hang on to that if you'd like. So let's go ahead and move up to 3-story. Now 3-story, there's nothing really inside of 306. 303 is also a room, a quest room. Actually, 203 and 303 are quest rooms. So if you come across those, you definitely hang on to those, but there's nothing really of value in there. It's just for the quests. These are the staircase that are just coming up, and then these are the inside middle stairs. So there's a blue and brown jacket inside of 301. That's an open door. And as you make your way down, there's a dorm marked room. Now, this is a very loose, high value room. You can get different types of cases, like you can get Doc's case. I believe you can get an Injector's case. You can get Bitcoins. You can get the little card holder thing. You can get all sorts of loose loot, like streamer items that you need for Kappa. You can get high value guns that you can't purchase on the flea market, and they're super expensive with traders, like 308 MDRs and RSAS, all sorts of stuff. Very, very hot room. Now, what is very unfortunate is a lot of the times you'll open the room and you'll get just garbage, but it can spawn some insane loot that is definitely worth hanging on to. And then also in 310, there are 2 jackets here that you can loot. So between the 3 floors, there are a ton of different keys. There are a ton of different rooms to check out, and a lot of loot, between all of the rooms themselves and the PMCs that you will most likely be fighting. So let's go ahead and check out dorms, or 2-story, I should say. 2-story obviously only has 2 floors, and as you come in the main floor, you come in right here, there is a safe, so it's actually cut off. So right here, there's actually a chain link fence separating from 105 to WC, not sure what that is. And the only way in is this outside side wall that you can get in from right here. So if you're just at the bus terminal, you can just go in. And then you can get in from the front side. There's a jump in window in the back, and then there's a staircase going up that back side. So there's a safe in 105, very important key. There's a couple jackets inside of 104, very important room. And as you come in, 108 is a closed door, but it's not a locked door. There's a couple jackets here, as well as a duffel bag that I try to hit every single time. And 110 and 114, very, very solid rooms. Both of these have a safe. 114 has a duffel bag. I apologize, it's not a duffel bag. It is a med box as well as a computer. So you have the chance of safe loot as well as a GPU and decent meds that come out of the med box. So very important keys, 110, 114, highly recommend. Now for the most part, that's pretty much all you really need is 110, 114, 105. Those are the only keys for the first floor. The rest of these you could pretty much just walk into. Oh, except for 104. You need 104, but if you're just going in there for the jackets, it's not really that worth it. The second floor, there's some filing cabinets in 201. There's loose jackets in 202. 206 is actually a quest key. So if you come across dorms 206, I would definitely hang on to that, or you can just buy it, you know, depending on the price of the flea market. There's 2 jackets and showers across the hall. In 211, there's 2 more jackets. And then from 217 to 215, there's just some loot. There's just some crates. There's weapon crates. There's a gun box, like the little black box that can have just pretty much anything inside of it. And then in 217, I think there's a duffel bag as well or something like that. I could be getting those mixed up, but there's definitely some decent loot in 2-story. That's dorms, and just remember, it's a hot spot. That is a very dangerous area for Scavs, Reshala and his guards, as well as PvP. Another very intense hot area, like we said, from Crack House to Skeleton to Fortress, you know, Crack House to Old Construction, Skeleton to Fortress, very, very, very hot area. And all of the rotations, old gas can be very dangerous. Around Warehouse 3 to Depot is very dangerous. New gas is very dangerous because there is a safe here. Reshala and his guards can spawn, and graphics card and bitcoins can also spawn inside, just on the floor and on the shelves inside of here, as well as in this back room, which I actually didn't know about. But lots of people will move in here, fight. People will be shooting from up on the ridge. You can kind of get shot from anywhere, even all the way over here at Skeleton. Skeleton has a line of sight to New Gas all the way to Sniper Ridge. Very dangerous, very hot area. Power Station is usually more, there's a lot more fighting at the beginning of the raid and at the very end with rotating, you know, to actually get to extracts. But you don't see a whole lot of fighting through here. There is a little bit around Repair Shop and Warehouse 7 to this extract. So just kind of be careful. Very dangerous area, but I would definitely say the hottest of spots is this whole area down here, dorms, and then from Skeleton to Power Station. So that's our breakdown of customs. It's a great map. It's a lot of fun. It's very difficult at times, but very, very fun at times. It just like with Tarkov, in every map you play, there are good days, there are bad days. There are good weeks and there are bad weeks. It just happens, man. Don't let it get you down. But I will leave a link to that website that I use to actually show you guys everything, because it's updated. It's great. And you can use it to find all sorts of things like armor spots, you know, crates, duffel bags, grenades, money, loose loot, body scavs, caches, bosses, everything. It's got everything that you possibly need for your journey from level 1 to whatever you get to by the end of wipe. All right, so I want to get into the reason why I consider this an 8 out of 10. The reason why I consider this an 8 out of 10 is because overall, the map itself is great. It's got a ton of high loot spawns across the entire map. It's got a lot of hot PvP areas. It's got bosses. It's got goons. It's got cultists. It's got realistically everything that Tarkov has to offer. And it's a very solid map. But the only thing that I would say is keeping it from being a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 is the funneling. So remember when I told you guys about the 3 lanes that they essentially have? I mean, you are very forced. You are pretty much forced to go through specific areas. And if you're not trying to like really seek PvP, a lot of the times you can't get away from it. You know, you pretty much have to go around dorms with people that are camping in the bushes all around dorms, you know, on the front, back, sides. They're everywhere. Everybody around the bus terminal, you know, people that are hiding in Fortress, people that are hiding in Crack, you know, there are people hiding everywhere. And you are pretty much, there aren't many places that you can roam without being looked at by somebody. So if you guys enjoyed this breakdown and you're excited for the rest of the breakdowns for all the other maps, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next one.